Hey, what's up guys, it's Oakley and we're playing a 3 versus 3 on an ungodly cool map. This is Assault on the Silver Pinnacles. It's made by Bloodhound and Maruka, and the really cool feature of it is, well, it has obviously the giant snow fortress of the zombies, but also the fact that it has these giant gunships that are coming to attack with cannons that you can actually control and operate. So here you can see in one of them, you just have to stand next to it and then it can fire right up until about here. So that helps to kind of give some defenses. Oh, there you go, a shot getting underway as it starts to try and bombard our forces. So pretty sweet. So the Empire is going to come out sprawling from their giant assault boat. That's one of them. There's another one also positioned over here. So each of the armies has deployed in its own location. So the dwarves coming out of their giant, I guess you could call it a war machine. And this thing was put together in such a convincing fashion. I'm very, very impressed by this map. So those are the two rear assaults. This one is forced to go across this choke point, but the main assault is going to be down a bridge actually, and this is where the vast majority of the enemies are coming towards us. We had a kind of combined allied force across the enemy side from the Empire, the Wood Elves, and the Dwarves. So Durthu's going to be leading the charge. There's a bunch of other Treekin, various other units, some Slayers, War Dancers as well in the back. They're all going to be pushing up. Some Empire artillery also going to be trying to knock down our walls. And this is, I've always dreamed of a map like this. Asymmetrical, one main wall, but plentiful ways in through the back. So this is really cool. Tons of damage being done from the front, where I have just one little unit of skeletons meant to hold the enemy back. We do have a roving band of vampires with all the different lores, and then I believe where is she? Or maybe these are all vampires. I was trying to see if Isabella was in here, but I believe these are just all a bunch of the vampiresses charging around, and a terror guy. So they're going to be meant to harass the enemy, do some preliminary damage, but for the most part the enemy is at the walls here, and they're going to start spanking our gatehouse. Meanwhile, the shots are going to come onto our wall. In the meantime, what I've done is I've pulled forward with my troops. I want to chase away the enemy. My lord came in here, and my vampire lord decided to raise some dead, but I'm starting to get focus fired by the cannon, and some other Knights of the Blazing Sun also came in and tried to do damage to me. And what I was trying to do here is get a nice another raised dead, just to try and tie down these enemy units, hold down and do damage to the flank. But some magical bombardment is going to do a lot to my zombies, so I'm not getting much done. I'm going to try and pull up with the Claw of Nagash, but I think better because I might get sniped. But more troops are coming up here. We have the backing of some Blood Knights, and take a look at this amazing Overwatch position where you can take an eye and take it all in essentially from the battlefield here. If you were also not the zombies, that would be, or sorry, if you were also not the vampire counts, that would be a great place to put some skirmishers or artillery supporting forces. Speaking of artillery, the Empire is going to start to try and chip away at us. Swordsmen lined up opposing us with the gunship in the back. That is such a cool sight. And crossbowmen also going to be firing. And the reason I had brought in my lord around the flank is because I saw the enemy was lined up perfectly and I really wanted a wind of death. So I'm going to try and attempt it again by pulling my lord here, and I was really hoping to land a nice shot and carve up this flank, but we'll see if I'm able to get that. My vampire lord's going to pull forward again, but the enemy is going to kind of try and ward me off. Volkmar here in particular is doing a lot of kind of threats to me, and you'll see he'll come back around, and I get caught by yet again another net here. This is going to be cast by, where's the caster? He's around here somewhere, trying to support them, keep them back. But anyways, all my units get caught, and unfortunately, my Banshee is also in the mix, but my Lord here, ooh, just barely gets out with his life, and I have to throw more undead at Volkmar, who really wants to kill me. So things are not looking good for my Lord. I've already lost a lot of health, but now we're going to trigger an assault up through the front. And this is going to be a big charge, one by zombies, then Crypt Ghouls, and then here a huge number of Crypt Horrors going to be charging for the entirety of this vampiric what would you call it? I guess a castle, a cemetery, all in one. Everything's going to be pouring out of the vaults. And yeah, a couple of Vargulfs, and the Black Coach also going to be a really key component that's moving around the flank. If we go back to this side, what's been happening? Well, the door has been busted, the wall has been blown open, and now the War Dancers and other units, Trikin, are all going to be pouring forward. A lot of monstrous units. Oh my god, our guys here got destroyed by Durthu, and it's this huge massing of treemen that's going to be doing a lot of damage to us, and they're going to bust through the front. Our other lords are going to try and do some distraction. We routed the Great Cannon and other units, but these Slayers are going to try and keep us back. And then meanwhile, the Forest Dragon here is starting to get sniped by our tower, so the enemy's going to try and take it out. But for the most part, they've busted through here, and they're going to try and go for our central victory point. But we'll see how that goes. Meanwhile, over here, we're tying down the dwarves. They haven't been able to do too much. They've forced their way up through here. Their small, stunted feet not taking them too far. Alternatively, they could have gone around this way to try and reinforce and flank the enemy. We were anticipating that they would do that, and so that's why we called for a brutal blitz up the center. So let's watch this as it gets underway. Enough of the slow motion. And I always love the charge of the Crypt Horrors. Looks like a bunch of linebackers coming in, flattening you here. So here they come charging through the front lines, and this is a very thin Empire defense. Crossbowmen in the back who can point blank shoot at us, but I mean, it is not going to be enough to hold. They don't really have any great swords. These are all pretty weak troops, and now take a look at my Black Coach. Gotten into a flank position, and this is exactly where you want to be. He's going to carve his way through the Empire. Actually, take that back. Looks like there is one greatsword unit, but oh my god, punishing amounts of damage here. Carving a swath of death and destruction through here. Meanwhile, the center is now starting to collapse. Indy Pride, I forgot to mention who our allies are. Indy Pride is in the battle with me on my side as the vampires. He's also helping to reinforce, diving all around the battle lines, but the Empire force is completely collapsing. On this flank, we've brought in more troops. Another Vargulf that's also here. The Claw of Nagash was trying to do some damage to the force, but now it's attacking Volkmar. And this is a very cinematic location for this duel to be taking place. So we'll see who ends up on top. Meanwhile, you can see here the complete collapse of the Empire forces. A single army by itself, swarmed by at least 2 vampire forces, and now all our guys are beckoning back to the keep. They've heard the call of the Master, and now we're going to be coming back to deal with the other forces. Tons and tons of troops, legions moving forward. Meanwhile, the dwarves over here are in a position where, yeah, this happened. And I was going to cut back to an earlier shot from the action as the dwarves are pushing forward. Grombrindal here is charging through the ranks, cutting us apart. The dwarves are slowly starting to chug their way through our lines, but what I decide to do is I pull up with my Vampire Lord. He's very, very weak, but he still has a lot of mana on him, and he is going to cast a devastating Wind of Death. Watch him line this thing up. And he's got a mass of troops. Oh my god. That is an insane amount of kills, and look at this. Extremely high value units. Only half of them picking themselves up. The rest absolutely obliterated. Look at these units. Warriors of Dragonfire Pass down to 34 health. This one down to 23. This one down to 26. 55. That was an unbelievably good hit. And then my Lord goes down when Grombrindal chases after him, getting just vengeance on my Lord. But nonetheless, you'll see later in the kill counts that he got about 270 kills in that one strike. So that, I mean, yeah, that destroyed like a quarter of the Dwarven force. The rest of it is slowly pushing forward, Iron Drakes and whatnot, and some of the elite hammers trying to push through the action, but the dwarves are going to get repeatedly pounded. And yeah, that's about it. I just wanted to go back and capture that little moment in the battle. There was an earlier Wind of Death. You can see the skid marks over here, I believe. We had a less successful Wind of Death here earlier, but mine was the first of the crushing blows, and you'll see one actually take place later. In the meantime, the dwarves are continuing to fire away. Some pretty epic shots, but like I said, they are on the losing end of affairs here. Anyways, let's get back to the standard timeline of the battle. And now at this point, we're going to charge back in with a lot of our vampires coming in, cleaning up, mopping up operations in the rear. My black coach tries to deal with these swordsmen to decap the cannon, and then we're going to kill the rest of the forces. Temple Hall of Luminarch is basically going to go down here. A couple more swings and it should be done for. Meanwhile, the Claw of Nagash continues to chase away Volkmar, and it looks like this battle is going to go in my favor. Let's watch the center, where it looks like the greens, or sorry, not the greenskins, looks like the Wood Elves are going to start to do a lot of punishing damage to us, with Durthu still at full health and us not having nothing but, you know, a couple grave guards here and there. Yeah, we are not going to be able to beat this. So the Wood Elves actually going to be successful in busting open the front gate here, and that's why we need our legions of undead to return, hopefully with fresh corpses being raised. And look at all the guys booking it across. Pretty brutal. Meanwhile, Indy's going to line up for a crazy Wind of Death. Oh my god. That is absurd. And it even goes all the way and knocks over this cannon crew. If we go ahead and look at Indy Pride's Lord over here, 225 kills on that one shot. So this is, I believe, the third time the dwarves have been massacred by the Wind of Death. One carving its way through here. Tremendous damage. And then the one you saw earlier taking place over here. And now if that weren't enough, Blood Knight's going to be attacking the rear of the dwarves. They chose their bridge to die on. I guess they're better at inventing these giant assault platforms than actually undertaking the assault. Would have been better for them to go on Overwatch position like that guy seems to be doing. Yeah, so pretty brutal battle for the dwarves. I believe this map is not really meant for 3 versus 3. When you're channeled up like this for an entire army, I mean, you have choice here or here. It doesn't really work for a 3v3. The defenders can just bum rush and overwhelm any one particular force. I believe it's better for a 2v2 where you can really spread out your forces and it makes the defenders recalculate their approach. It also means that this position might even be contested by a quick attacker who has some flying units, so other units that can push up here and use this to overwatch and push back the enemy force. So anyways, I may go back and replay this with a smaller army count, but this one was nonetheless cinematic, fun, and pretty exciting. Look at the final days of the Wood Elves. And now we're starting to get our big monsters in here, but I believe Durthu should come out on top, and he's got three brethren, himself included here, fighting back, and this is the meat of this. Ooh, looks like he's pretty close. The Streamman down to 790 health, but I was going to say he's the meat of this force. And it looks like our guys, the Vargulf, is diminished. A lot of our units are actually going to start crumbling. This Vargulf gets spanked, and so he should be getting thrashed. So yeah, this is actually not looking good for us at all. A lot of the Treekin's still alive, and it turns out we don't really have anything to deal with this. Although we still have a lot of our heroes actually coming back to the fight. They may contest what I just said. The main problem here is Grumbrindel is going to be fighting against Vlad, and Vlad here is going to start to regen some HP. So the battle is definitely going to go in our favor. And yep, he's going to be seen off the battlefield running away with the dwarfs of Dragonfire Pass as well. I believe Volkmar was also destroyed, so one after another the enemy heroes are going to be seen off. Yeah. So this is it. Last of the Wood Elves are going to be holding. A couple of them still remain, but they're all, let's see, Durthu. God, I say this, but Durthu and even this Treeman, he's only lost 300 health since we last checked up on him. They could actually end up turning the tide a little bit on this side. A lot of our units here seem to be, oh no, it looks like they're healing up, so that should hold us back. And now here come the Blood Knights and some heroes. Okay, this should be it for the end of the enemy. We've reclaimed the tower as well, which is going to start to bombard the rear lines of the enemy, where my Vargulf is going to start to target the enemy gun crew that came back. I actually had a little bit of a fun time watching this in-game. My Vargulf was being really derpy. He'd try and hit the cannons, and like you just saw, he continuously bounced back. But anyways, the final stats here ended up being a valiant defeat. Not because we actually lost the battle, but because when we were playing this live, we ended up having some players, we ended up quitting the game prematurely because it was actually running much slower than real time, and it was getting late. But anyways, I think the end result of the battle is pretty unambiguously a battle that would go in our favor, as the final lords and everything was closing in on Durthu. And yeah, it was a valiant attempt, and yeah, they got to the victory point and the capture point, but they were not long for this world, as their allies had fled and been destroyed. So that's it for this one. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the final stats here, because we got some crazy kills on our Lord. Well, Winds of Death here with 225 kills for Vlad, and then myself 275 for my Vampire Lord, so I got a better strike right there. SK Ren was also joining us, and he got a fair amount of kill on his Vampire Riders, but not too much to their names. Some on the Graveguard, but not really too much getting done here. He had a very, very small force deployed. Meanwhile, Indie Pride, what is his other big killer? Of course, the Blood Knights, a lot of cleaning up operations, and then the Crypt Horrors, of course. My own guys, most of the kills. Oh, the Black Coach with 142, that is crazy. So yeah, a couple key units that were just carving through the enemy lines. On the other side, Empire Force was large and menacing, but really didn't get much done, except for perhaps the Royal Outdoor Griffites. Oh, and my god, these Knights of the Blazing Sun with tons of kills, but mind you, that was against zombies early in the game, so not that impressive if you consider it. Uruk here, Tree Man, yeah, lots of kills. The Wood Elves here getting tons of value. 217, and they just punished us on that front. Had it been 3 Wood Elf forces similarly arrayed, I think they would have probably beaten us, honestly. And then finally Gojira here. The Dwarves really, this one's going to go in the Book of Grudges. They got thrashed with 3 Wind of Deaths on the bridge. That was just absolutely brutal. But anyways, hope you guys enjoyed. Stay tuned for more. See you in the next one. Bye-bye.